Hello and welcome to Emma's ESL English. I'm recording this outside in my garden. I'm hoping you can just see the bees and the lavender behind me. But also there's a street here, so if I get embarrassed it's because somebody's come back and past and is like, what's she doing in her garden? Everybody can see. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about lessons that we can learn, or rather lessons that we can apply, that we learn from our language learning that we can apply to our lives. That was a little confusing, sorry about that. That's my point. So sometimes we might not realize that we've learned something, or we might not realize that it's applicable to our everyday lives, but I think it often can be. So one of those things is focus. Stephen Covey said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." Which is, I think, pretty relevant when we're talking about languages, right? We want to understand what is the other person saying. That's like really super duper important, right? So we focus, when we're learning another language, we focus really hard on what is the other person saying so that we can understand them and we can respond accordingly. But how often do you focus like that in your daily life, right? In your daily life, I think it's a little bit different. When you're learning a language, you spend most of your time trying to understand. But think of your daily conversations. Is the balance the same? Or do you spend more of your time trying to explain, trying to get the other person to hear you? So actually, you're not really listening to what they're saying, but rather you're jumping ahead to what you want to say, what you think is important, what you think, what your opinion is, rather than actually stopping and listening to what they're saying. So I'm reading a book at the moment, big shock. I'm reading a book at the moment called The Talking Revolution, How Creative Conversation Can Change the World. Yeah, this is my kind of book. This is a really cool book. It has a lot of stuff in it. It's a heavy book. It's heavy going, and as you can see, it is the first and only book that I have highlighted. I have defaced this book. It's a horrifying thought. However, the reason I defaced this book, shamelessly, is because actually I found a lot of it really, really useful. I haven't finished, I'm only halfway through. I found a lot of it really, really useful and applicable, and I knew that if I didn't... Person walking their dog. That was a real person. I knew that if I didn't highlight, I would lose those things, whereas my hope is, since I've highlighted it, I can easily go back and read the important stuff again, which I think is working because that's what I did for this class. So in the book, they ask us to first focus on whoever is speaking, which we do, right? When we're speaking another language, we focus, we listen, we might squint, we might cock our head to hear better, or we might even take notes on what are they actually saying. But what about when you're at home? Are you focusing, or are you waiting until it's your turn to speak? Are you really listening, or are you composing your response? In the book, they say human beings can't process two thinking tasks at the same time at zero cost. So if you're not listening carefully, if you're not focusing, then you're likely missing something. Maybe not everything, maybe you've got the gist of it, but you're likely missing something. So we need to wait until we're sure we've understood what they're saying before we think about what our opinion is, or how we want to respond to what they're saying. And it's really easy for me to think, me just changing my behavior is a total waste of time. There are two people in this conversation. Yes. But in the book, they point out that any positive changes we make in our role as an understander will definitely be felt by the other person and therefore start to improve the relationship. And you know that, right? Think about, you have evidence of it. Think about your conversations in another language. Are you able to have more open, honest conversations when you're speaking to someone in a different language? Do you feel like you're more heard in those conversations? Do you have less inclination to talk over the other person? That's because you feel heard and you want to understand them. So before you even start the conversation, you're already starting for this place of wanting to understand each other. So you're purposefully focusing and listening to what each other is saying. And what I'm saying is I think you can also apply this skill that you have learned while you're learning English to your everyday life as well. If you approach your everyday life conversations in the same way as you approach your second language conversations, then I think you will get a lot more out of those conversations. I think they will be more interesting, and who knows, you may learn some stuff that you didn't know before. And I think as well, the point from the book is that those conversations become more valuable because you're actually learning the truth about each other and about how you feel. And people are more willing to be honest about how they feel because they feel like they're being heard, like you actually want to know how they feel. So I think that's really the point they're getting at. Anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. I hope it's useful to your daily life. You can email me any questions at emmaseslenglish@gmail.com, or you can head over to the blog at emmaseslenglish.com, where any of the random things that I said here will be written down, and I'll also put the quotes from the book and a link to the book itself in there, just in case you're interested in having a look yourself. Okay, good to see you. Have a great week. Oh no, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.